Hi, welcome back. It's great to have you. El Rushbo, the EIB network. So, in the exit polling data, Cuccinelli won pretty sizably on the economy. He won pretty decisively on health care, big time on health care. But it was McAuliffe who won big on abortion. McAuliffe had a 20% advantage. This is exit polling data on abortion and a 9-point advantage among women. But that gap was closing because at one point he had a 24% margin. And it's that abortion side and the women's side has got the Republican establishment. One of the things that's got them scared to death. And it's one of the reasons that they like the Tea Party being seen as a loser, because they think the Tea Party is a bunch of radical, extremist, conservative, kook, freak, pro-lifers that are going to be the end of it. They've thought this, folks, since I've been paying attention. I mean, I've shared with you the story about how I was practically accosted at a dinner party in the early 90s to do something about the Christians by a bunch of moneyed, elitist Republican establishment times. That's back when I was naive and thought we were all on the same team. And I didn't realize then they looked at me as the enemy, too. I thought I was there as a friend. I didn't know it, but I was the enemy. And they're poking me in the chest. What are you going to do about the Christians? I said, what are you talking about? Abortion, it's killing us. We're never going to win another election. We got to get rid of this. And I'm telling you, that's the root of this. Of course, other aspects to it. Conservatism in general repulses the Republican establishment. The Tea Party repulses because they don't control it. They don't even know who to attack. The Tea Party doesn't have a singular leader. So they go after any candidate supported by the Tea Party, and they launch both barrels. And the way they launched here was just to offer no assistance compared to the assistance they offered back in. And you know what, folks, I have to tell you something. I remember back, I forget the years now, they all run together, but you remember the year that Christine O'Donnell ran in Delaware and Sharon Angle, Senate races, admittedly, but Sharon Angle in Nevada. I remember all these Tea Party candidates wanted a Republican establishment run around saying, well, we can't support these people. They don't have a prayer. And we'd rather support Mike Castle, who's really a Delaware Democrat named a Republican. Remember, back then, what really concerned the Republican establishment was winning the Senate. They wanted to win the Senate. They wanted to control the committees. They wanted the chairmanships on the committees because they wanted to be in charge of the money. And so when people like Christine O'Donnell won their primary and Sharon Angle because of Tea Party support, the Republican establishment just had a cow and started mobilizing against them. And the consultants mobilized, and they all started going on TV, and they go, well, these people don't have a prayer. I mean, there goes our chance. There goes our chance. They started wringing their hands and complaining in public. There goes our chance to win the Senate. There goes our chance to get the committee chairmanship. I don't think they were honest about wanting the committee chairmanships. That's what I knew they wanted. They claimed they wanted to win control of the Senate. But what it really boils down to, folks, you and I think the country's at a crisis crossroads, and nobody else does. Democrat, Republican, establishment types do not think there's any problem at all with this level of debt. It's just the debt. It's always been high. We'll manage it. Any big deal? We'll have a carbon tax. We'll raise taxes here. We'll deal with it. Any big deal? We'll have the Fed print money and give it to the stock market. Everything's fine. We'll keep interest rates low. There's no crisis here. Obamacare? Well, hell, it's just health care. Okay, the government's going to have a bigger role in it. Big whoop. Any big deal. They don't think that there's anything particularly crisis-related about this, and you and I do. To them, it's just politics as usual. They just want to they want to win with their people in charge because they don't want to have to reform anything. They don't want to have to change the way Washington works. They don't want to have to get rid of the debt. They don't want to have to reduce the size of government. They don't want to do anything that'll promote a increase in individual liberty or freedom. They love the government being big, and they want their chance to run it. So I just found it fascinating. They're having a cow over Christine O'Donnell and Sharon Angle and some of the other Tea Party candidates that came later, not supporting them. Here was their chance to win the Senate. Well, here was their chance to hold a state house, and they didn't care. Here was their chance to hold the state of Virginia. Here was their chance to have a Republican governor in the state of Virginia, and they didn't care. They cared everything they had about winning the Senate. They were willing to support every moderate in the world and every liberal Republican in the world in order to keep or win the Senate and get their precious chairmanships, but they didn't care about keeping a state house in Virginia. And it's one thing, we're sitting here trying to devise ways to beat Democrats for the good of the country, and we've also got to devise ways here to overcome opposition to us in our own party as well. And it's admittedly tough, although I, not phony optimism, think that it can be done. Power of the people. I think if they, Cuccinelli, he didn't win, and it's coulda, woulda. There are no moral victories. Don't misunderstand. No attaboys because he got close. That's not what I'm doing here. But it could have been won. That's the really frustrating thing. Could have been won. Now they're just going ape. They're so happy they can't see straight that Chris Christie is now the front runner for the Republican nomination. The Democrats are excited about that. The media is excited about that. The Republicans are excited about that. You go ahead and connect the dots.